Buckle in, sports fans. You're listening to The William Haynes Show. The program will be starting in just a couple of minutes, so grab your popcorn and get ready to enjoy the show. While you're waiting, make sure you're following us on social media at WHBC Stream and staying tuned to WHBCStream.com. We're so glad to have you today on the program, and we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line on Twitter or call the show 352-639-0036. And thanks again for tuning in.
HBC. Well, it is a good evening to you, and how you be? William Haynes here, you there, here on this Thursday night at 11:02 with 34 seconds to go right along with it. We will be talking Rays and taking your calls right up until 12 o'clock. Number to call to get on the show is 877-566-1020 to get on the air and talk Rays or anything else on your mind. We also have a Tampa Bay Lightning loss to briefly skim over the Rays, 17-8 over the Red Sox earlier this afternoon to complete a 4-game sweep. The Rays now a season watermark, 4 games above 500 at 12-8. The Boston Red Sox drop to 6-13. The Rays are now just a game back of the New York Yankees for first place in the AL East. So what we're going to do here, also we'll give you sports updates every 20 minutes. So in about 17 minutes, we'll give you tonight's baseball scores. Going to give a quick monologue and then allow some calls to come in. I'll take a quick break after the monologue and come right back and start talking this game if we don't have any calls. Again, the number to call to talk to me and get on the show is 877-566-1020. How about our Rays right now? Second 4-game sweep at Fenway in team history. 8th straight win in Boston. Back-to-back 4-homer games. The Rays lead Major League Baseball in runs scored. They're now a season-high watermark, 4 games over 500, and are now a single game back of first place. For a team that had a pretty ugly start, the fact that they've turned it on in the most crucial part of the season shows what we're getting out of this 2020 group. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves yet, though. Boston has one of the weakest pitching units in the league. The Rays now head to Buffalo to play a Blue Jays squad that gave them a lot of trouble last time around. Today helped, but this bullpen isn't in great shape, and the Rays will likely use 2 bullpen days in 3 days in this weekend series. It's hard to deny this feeling we have about the Rays right now, though. This offense is finally living up to its billing, and it's been a hell of a time. Fingers crossed this shooting star won't burn out before October's end. Again, number to call to get on the program, 877-566-1020. We're going to take a little bit of a break to allow some calls to roll in, and we will be right back.
Hey, sports fans. William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for Williams' world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 11:06, we are back on the William Haynes Show again. We will be taking your calls right up until 12 o'clock. If you're just joining us, the number to call, it's internationally toll-free new call-in number. It is 877-566-1020. Again, taking your calls up until 12 o'clock. Something I just wanted to gloss over real briefly, and we'll try and keep it as brief as we can because it's not good news by any means. The Tampa Bay Lightning losing their game 3-1 at the hands of the Columbus Blue Jackets. That series is now tied 1 game apiece. The only real takeaways of that, I got it from Aaron earlier before the show, is Columbus played a pretty tight-knit game, did not give the Lightning very many scoring opportunities, and the Lightning did not take advantage of the few that they got. The Lightning power play unit has still not been great. So we're not pressing the panic button by any means just yet, but the series now tied. We will be on the next time you will be hearing from me will be next Tuesday night, following the Rays and Yankees game. That'll be game 1 of that series. So games 3 and 4 will be played before I get back on the air. But of course, with it now being the series tied a game apiece, there will at least be a game 5. So we'll be on the air before the series is done. No matter which way it goes. Again, if you're just tuning in, number to call, 877-566-1020, taking your calls up until about 12 here. We're going to talk about today's Rays win and preview the weekend series again, as I'm going to be off the air next Tuesday. We will be back, though, so we're going to talk about all 3 games in the the Buffalo Blue Jays series. That'll certainly be interesting. The park over there in Buffalo looks pretty cool, and the Rays are heading there tonight, and we'll play a game at about, I believe, 6:30. It gets started tomorrow. But tonight's Rays win, it was 17-8 over the Red Sox, just 2 runs shy of their team record, which was 19. I'm not sure when that was set, but of course the offense has been absolutely electric. In this 4-game series, the Rays outscored the Red Sox by a total of 42-22. So the offense has been absolutely outstanding. 8 runs in the first 2 games, 9 runs last night, and now 17. Even Mike Zunino joined the fun with a 3-run homer. Hunter Renfroe, who batted cleanup today, had 2 home runs. I believe 1 from Brandon Lau as well. There was a slew of other guys. Okay, it was Zunino who had 1, Renfroe, again, who had 2, Brandon Lau, and yeah, that was it. Yeah, the 4 home runs there, but everyone was getting in on the action. A lot of multi-hit games. Manny Margot went 4 for 6 and continued his ways. The way the lineup looked, no pinch hits or substitutions, it's straight up. Leading off Brasso, I think he's going to stay in that spot, at least against lefties for the time being, followed by Martinez and Yandy Diaz. Cleaning it up was Hunter Renfroe, Brandon Lau, Willie Damas, and at the bottom, Margot, Shitsugo, and Zunino. I really like the way that lineup lines up. I don't love Zunino in the lineup at all and not in the 9 spot, but again, a 3-run homer today. I don't think the Zunino ship is getting turned around anytime soon, but you like to see him have a nice little moment ripping a 3-run shot over the Green Monster. I also really like Shitsugo in that 8 spot. Anywhere from that 7, 6, 8 hole, I think is great for Yoshi right now with what he's doing. He's now batting 182. So getting him going again. He played left field And again, I think Brasso, he worked walks in both of his first two at-bats, I believe. He finished 1 for 4 with the run scored. And those 2 walks, struck out twice later in the game. But, I mean, he's now batting .357 on base 40% of the time. A home run last night to get the game started. I really like what he's doing, at least against left-handers. I think Brasso's your new leadoff hitter. And then against righties, it's obviously Austin Meadows, who did get a day off today, which is understandable. He got the half day off yesterday with the DH, and then not appearing in today's game. He should be ready and good to go as they're easing him back in after he had a late join to the team after all the COVID stuff that he went through and all of that. Starting pitcher today, Tyler Glasnow. Hoping he can get a little more from him. He only gave us 4 innings and 84 pitches. 51 of which were for strikes. It was 5 earned runs on 8 hits, walked 2, and struck out 8. I didn't watch this game, but I did listen to most of it on the radio, so I have to give that disclaimer. What it sounded like from Glasnow, he's going through a bit of a rough patch right now. His last start against the Yankees in that 7-inning doubleheader, he could not get through 3, but you understand that you make an early move to the pen because it's a shortened game. He probably would have gone a little longer in the normal circumstances, but either way, he didn't exactly look good. Struggled with his control on the fastball, and listening to Dave Wills on the radio broadcast, it really just sounds like he's kind of overthinking it. Uber purposeness is what Dave Wills described it as. You know, every step of his mechanics, he's just needs to relax a little bit. Again, 8 hits. It is a good Boston lineup. I will give it that. We had a caller last night that gave some credit to what Boston is doing, and I think the ultimate point in that is to say, I mean, this Rays pitching staff has been pretty good. It's the last couple of days it's been held together by some minor leaguers. Of course, it was Aaron Slegers in the mop-up duty last night, and he almost gave the game away before they bring in Nick Anderson to save the day. And tonight it was Anthony Bonda, and I wasn't quite sure how that was going to line up. I thought yesterday they were going to go with maybe Jalen Beeks to follow, but they end up going with Slegers, and the purpose in that was with Slegers having the options. They optioned him back to the 60-man in Port Charlotte and put him on the taxi squad, and that allowed a roster move, which was Anthony Bonda, and I assume that they'll send him down. He threw 3 innings, ended up getting the save, 58 pitches, 35 of which were for strikes, but he did give up 3 earned runs on 4 hits, walked a man and struck out 2. I'm not sure how much that really means. This was his first appearance for the Rays this year. We've seen him in years past. He's been okay. I think the length certainly helped just to eat up innings. I mean, the Rays, again, they were up over 10 runs, so at that point it doesn't really matter. Also, Jalen Beeks, who got the win, pitched for 2 innings after Glasnow to get the Rays through 6. In his 2 innings, he only gave up a hit, no earned runs, no walks, and struck out a single man, 29 pitches, 20 of which were for strikes. So you really like what Jalen Beeks is doing right now, but something that I was confused about is I figured since Beeks wasn't used last night or the day prior, I figured they were going to be saving him for something. They had him warm up at the end of Monday night's game, so maybe he's not stretched out to be a starter. Maybe he's just a reliever type guy. I was honestly expecting him to be an option to start outright tomorrow in Buffalo. That is obviously taken out of the equation. I mean, he went 3 innings early on in the season, but that was his longest outing. So maybe he a guy that picked up a couple of starts last year, I know comes to mind in Seattle. He had one, I believe, went 5 innings or so. So he has that potential, but I guess that's not what the Rays view him as. I think Trevor Richards would be an option. He pitched 4 innings on Sunday, so I believe tomorrow would be on 4 days rest. So you can maybe start him outright or behind an opener, Ryan Thompson, maybe. Guys like that. Obviously, Andrew Kittredge, who was an opener in years past with the 45-day IL, the sprain in the UCL, which, if you're not familiar with that medical term, basically the UCL in the elbow, when that ligament tears, that is when the Tommy John surgery comes into play. So not good by any means, but it is a sprain, but I don't think we're going to see him back. Ultimately, Glasnow, not great, but he gave you innings. I think that's really the only takeaway right now. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves. We have to kind of take it one day at a time, and a win is a win. And Glasnow was good enough for the team to win. He didn't, he didn't cause us to lose the game. He did give up some runs early, but did kind of settle in a little bit, I suppose. With the way the offense was going, Kevin Cash had the luxury of allowing him to kind of settle into the game. And you get innings from Beeks and 3 from Bond at the back end. And I think that I wasn't originally following along with Kevin Cash in that plan, but looking back at it now, I think the way he set this up, all the relievers are now at least on a day's rest. I don't think Nick Anderson will go tomorrow, but he'll certainly be available Saturday and Sunday, and you never know. But, I mean, there's guys that are on 2 or 3 days rest at this point, guys like Chaz Rowe, Jose Alvarado, Diego Castillo, Aaron Loop, Ryan Thompson. They've got a lot of options right now and not using any real relievers today. I mean, everybody is essentially in play over this 3-game set, and they're going to need everybody that they can get. Ryan Yarbrough will start on Saturday, but Friday and Sunday, those are the 2 spots that were left open by Charlie Morton and Yanni Chirinos. So they're going to have to find whether it's to start outright from Richards, which I would expect, if not on Friday, but certainly on Sunday, but an opener day, at least one mixed in. I've been looking on Twitter. It doesn't look like we have news on the starter for tomorrow. Kevin Cash said he was going to figure out how he wanted to do the pitching on the flight up to Buffalo. I believe that's a pretty short flight from Boston. Shorter flight, certainly, than it would be to Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. And again, 3 games in Buffalo. That'll be certainly interesting. Of a tough Blue Jays team right now. They're not exactly have a great record. They are in 4th place right now in the American League East. They are 6-9, 4.5 games back of first. It's amazing the Orioles are still holding on. They're in 3rd with a 10-7 record, and they are just a half game back of the Rays and a game and a half back of first. So that we haven't quite gotten the Orioles out of our sights yet. And something I mentioned in the monologue, again, number to call since it's been a little while, 877-566-1020. We're going to take a break in about 3 minutes and give you some MLB scores just in time for me to lose my train of thought. The lineup looks good. That's really the takeaway from today. They were really hot in this Boston series, scoring almost 10 runs in every game. I think Kevin Cash has finally settled into what he wants to do with this lineup. Certainly hits better against, well, it's tough to say. Kyle Hart, a guy who got his first major league appearance today in a start, only went 2 innings. I like on paper how this lineup matches up against lefties, but statistically it's shown this lineup is better against righties. But either way, I think Cash finally has the lineup figured out. Having guys like Setsugo and Margot further down the lineup, Yanni Diaz at the top is really working right now. So is Brasso, as is Austin Meadows. So a slew of options, no doubt. Willie Adames is coming into his own, and Brandon Lau in the 5 spot, where he was today, I thought was an interesting move. But I like him in that spot because having him bat after a guy like Diaz or even Renfroe, if they get on base, really valuable asset. I mean, you look all the way down the lineup. A lot of guys had great days hitting. Yanni Diaz was 3 for 5 with a walk. Renfroe was 3 for 6, 3 runs batted in, 2 home runs. Brandon Lau was 2 for 5, 3 runs batted in and a walk. Adames was 3 for 5 with a walk. I mean, guys getting on base. Margot 4 for 6. Sisigo even 2 for 5, and Zanino with his single hit 1 for 5 being that 3-run shot. A lot of guys getting runs batted in. Nobody at the top of the order, but again, guys like Renfroe with 3, Lau with 3, a couple guys with 2, and Zanino, with 4. The offense is really working right now, and the way the pitching staff is going to line up for Buffalo, not certainly their premier starters. Thankfully, we are going to miss Hyunjin Ryu. Tomorrow it'll be Tanner Rourke. On Saturday, taking on Yarbrough, it'll be Chase Anderson. And on Sunday, it'll be Matt Shoemaker, who pitched pretty decent against the Rays last time around. But I believe Tanner Rourke and Anderson, we have not seen either of those, but I'll check on that on the break. We are now right at about 10:20. We're going to give you the the baseball scores here. Number to call during the break is 877-566-1020. If we have anybody listening, we would love to hear from you, get your race thoughts, all of that stuff. So here is the 2020 Sports Update. HBC. Light MLB day today. 1 game left in action in the top of the 6th. It is the Dodgers in Chavez Ravine, up 11-2 over the Padres. Some final scores: it is the Cubs 4-2 over the Brewers. Yu Darvish carried a no-hitter into the 7th inning. It's the Pirates 9-6 over the Reds. Obviously, the Rays 17-8 over the Red Sox in Fenway to complete a 4-game sweep. The Orioles continue to hold on 11-4 today over the Phillies. The Mets 8-2 over the Nationals. David Peterson getting his 3rd win. The rookie Met starter is now 3-1 with a 2.91 ERA.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBCStream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCStream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 11:22, we are back on the William Haynes Show, taking your calls right up until about 12 o'clock. The number to call is 877-566-1020 to get on the program. I'll give you the baseball scores on the break. Next time around, we'll give you the hockey scores currently in action. The first period just ended. It's the Dallas Stars 2-1 over the Flames. Calgary took game 1, so Ben Bishop and company looking to even that series up. An exciting day of hockey, no doubt, and really all of this postseason is going to be a lot of fun. Also, basketball is coming down to the stretch. There's going to be some Western Conference play-in games, as I believe it's 3 or 4 teams fighting over one spot. The East is already wrapped up, and I believe all of the matchups are already lined up, if I'm not mistaken. I'll try and dig those up so we can preview them, as I don't have we do have the standings actually, so I'll go to that now as we wait for some Rays calls. 877-566-1020 right up until 12 o'clock. So in the Eastern Conference in the NBA, the matchups will be the Milwaukee Bucks against the Orlando Magic, the Toronto Raptors against the Brooklyn Nets, Boston Celtics against the Philadelphia 76ers in a rematch that has taken place over the past couple of years, and the Miami Heat against the Indiana Pacers. So that game, that series, that's an old rivalry renewed perhaps. In the Western Conference, the only the only series that we do not know, the Los Angeles Lakers will be playing either the Memphis Grizzlies, the Portland Trailblazers, or the Phoenix Suns, as now the San Antonio Spurs have been eliminated, and they will not make the playoffs for the first time in about almost 2 decades, I believe. Greg Popovich and company will be sent home packing early for the first time in a while. So, again, Lakers against either the Grizzlies, Trailblazers, or Suns. The LA Clippers will play the Dallas Mavericks. That is a series certainly to watch. The Denver Nuggets against the Utah Jazz. Not too exciting of a series there. And the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Houston Rockets, which would be extremely intriguing. It's unknown if Westbrook is going to be ready for that series. Of course, Russell Westbrook, a former longtime player of the Oklahoma City Thunder, as was James Harden, so really an interesting matchup. The Thunder somehow are a seed higher. It's amazing how Chris Paul and the folks there in OKC got it done as well as they did this year. Really a remarkable season. The coaching staff is really great over there. I think the Rockets also really a team to watch with how good their offense has been. Your defense doesn't have to be that good if you can score 150 points. And I think just the nature of this reset has seen some of the most high-scoring games in NBA history. So some really good playoff matchups to look at. I can tell you right now, it'll be the Bucks over the Magic, the Raptors over the Nets. The Celtics and Sixers is up for grabs, but I think because of injuries, I would give the nod to Boston. And then the Miami Heat and Indiana Pacers. I'm a bit of a Heat fan, so that one is kind of hard. Indiana, they have Victor Oladipo, I believe, in action right now. He was originally not planning on going into the bubble, but I'll ultimately give the Heat probably the edge in that one. And then we'll see how it lines up from there. And in the West, I think the Los Angeles Lakers will be walking away with a series win, no matter if it's Memphis, Portland, or Phoenix. But those teams are really gritting their way, trying to get into the playoffs. It's been forever since the Suns have been in there. The Trailblazers, not necessarily dangerous, but Damian Lillard has put the team on his back as of late. And the Grizzlies, they got John Morant and a couple of other guys. But I think the Lakers would walk away with a win against any of those teams. Clippers and Mavericks is really tough. Obviously, the edge would be to the Clippers. Obviously, we know from the Kawhi Leonard and the Paul George. With Dallas, of course, Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. They have a couple of other guys. Dallas has slowly been building up a really nice roster over there. So, obviously, in the West, we're expecting a Lakers and Clippers Western Conference Finals. And I believe with the 1 and 2 seed, that's probably how it would end up lining up. So, a real toss-up. I would expect that series to go probably 6 games in favor of the Clippers, but we'll see. Nuggets and Jazz, I mean, two teams that play a similar style, no superstars, but they get it done. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell, who I'm not even sure if he's in the bubble. He had some issues with Rudy Gobert, who, of course, got this whole COVID sports thing kicked off when he tested positive and shut the whole sports world down. I don't think either winner of that series would come away with anything, but I guess I would give the edge to the higher seed Nuggets, and then Thunder and Rockets. I would probably give the Rockets the edge. James Harden will probably put up 70 in every game, and then of course we'll go from there after that. And those series will be started, I believe, if not over the weekend, it will be on Monday night. So we'll be there to cover all of that as we talk about a lot of sports here on the William Haynes Show. And if you want to call into the program and maybe talk some Rays or some Lightning or whatever it is that you've got on your mind for another 30 minutes or so, we will be here with you, the listener. The number to call is 877-566-1020. Number to call. We've already kind of gone in depth on it, but we'll talk a little bit more about tonight's Rays win. I gave you the lineup card. I gave you the pitching stats. All of that. It was in the first inning. They got on the board early, and I think that's really a crucial part of what the Rays have been doing in their success. It was really what got them going early in 2019 is whether it was on the road, especially on the road, but when you can score in the first inning, your odds of winning go up exponentially, and the Rays executing that again tonight. It was Yandy Diaz singling in Brasso, and then Adames singled in Jose Martinez. Diaz at second, and they leave him stranded. So 2-0 at the bottom of the first, and then the Red Sox respond with 3 of their own. So you're thinking after the first inning, the Sox are up 3-2. Tyler Glasnow does not look good. Probably a lot of relievers are not available just because of the nature of how stressed the pen has been lately. And then the offense continued to turn it on. A scoreless second for both teams. And then in the third, it was a 2-run shot about 400 feet for Hunter Renfroe that also scored Yandy Diaz. And back-to-back, if I'm not mistaken, it was Brandon Lau with a 459-foot solo shot. They made it 5-3 Rays, and they were not done in the third inning. It was Hitsugo with a deep single, I believe, off the monster. It scored Adames, moved Margot to third, and he was brought home on a Zunino fielder's choice, which was his first RBI. He would have 3 more on a 3-run shot. And then, so at going into the bottom of the third, it was 7-3 Rays. And you think at that point, no matter what Glasnow gives you, that game is probably out of reach, as you assume the Rays weren't done. The Red Sox do respond with one of their own. So at the end of 3, it is 7-4 Tampa Bay. And then in the 4th inning, the Rays got busy again. A single from Brandon Lau scored Yandy Diaz. And Margot then reached on an infield single. Renfroe scored on a throwing error, I believe, by Rafael Devers. It moved all the runners around. And then Setsugo hit a sacrifice fly to score the runner from third base, but that was the end of that. So at the end of 4, it was 10-5 Rays. And then really all these runs coming in bunches. They had a couple innings, the 2nd inning and the 5th. Also the 7th where they didn't score, but when they put up runs, they put them up in bunches. In the 6th, it was Renfroe with a solo shot. They don't even have the foot distance on it. I guess it was really clobbered. They didn't have that. It went past the StatCast. Also, it was Adames tripling to deep right that scored Brandon Lau. Margot singles in Adames, and then it was that Mike Zunino 3-run shot over the monster to score both himself and Margot and Yoshi. And then that made it 16-5. In the 9th, Brandon Lau lines out but scores Yandy Diaz. And then the Sox put up a couple in the 9th against Anthony Bonda, but they ended up losing to the Rays 17-8 again. The Rays with a 4-game sweep in this series. Really, really impressive. Very well done. Win streak, I believe, at 5. They're also, also 4 games above 500. So you really like the way that they are rolling right now. We look at the schedule, of course, the 3 games in Buffalo. That will get us through Sunday. And then Tuesday, they get an off day Monday, which I think is going to be big with how much the bullpen is going to be stressed. And then you have a 3-game set against the Yankees. It'll be Snell v. Tanaka and Tuesday. On Wednesday, it'll be Glasnow v. Garrett Cole again. And then on Thursday, no pitcher announced yet for the Rays against James Paxton. So you like probably how that series is going to line up. Tuesday, I think, is up for grabs. If Snell has got his stuff again, I think he'll give the Rays a good chance to win and score up Tanaka. Wednesday is going to be tough. Another Glasnow v. Cole rematch. If that goes the way it does, it'll be the Yankees at least taking a game out of that series. And the getaway on Thursday against Paxton. You gotta love what the Rays are going to be able to do against James Paxton, but are they going to be able to, get run or prevent runs with the bullpen, as they do not have a starter announced for that day? That was Yonny Chirinos' spot, although he's eligible to come off the injury list that day. Whether or not he'll be activated and ready to start, the good news is, both with Charlie Morton and Yonny Chirinos, they're not really going to need to miss any time. As soon as they're activated, they're not going to need a rehab assignment or anything along those lines. They should be game ready. This was really just to give them some rest. Yonny Chirinos with a right tricep inflammation issue, so he said he's feeling really great through a bullpen, I believe, today of 20 pitches or so. And then Charlie Morton, no update really on how he's feeling. It was, I believe, shoulder tightness or something along those lines. He pitched 2 innings on that Sunday contest against the Yankees, and then it was Trevor Richards with really quite a heroic performance, going 4 innings against a really tough Yankees lineup. I think that really gave Kevin Cash and that staff a lot of confidence in what Trevor Richards can do. I would expect him to start outright in one of these games, if not, follow behind an opener. Ryan Thompson gave him 2 innings as an opener in that Yankee series, so that would be nice. If you can get 2 from Thompson followed by 4 from Richards, obviously that gets you through 6, and then with the way the bullpen has been rested the last couple of days, you can really piece it together quite creatively. So you like the way they line up against New York and also Buffalo over the weekend. And then after that, they come home, a 4-game set against the Blue Jays and a 3-game set against Baltimore. And you hear me keep saying on the monologue and during the course of the show, again, number to call if we have anybody listening is 877-566-1020. This stretch of the season, this part of August is so crucial because we look at the series dating back all the way to July 31st. It was a series against Baltimore, a series against Boston, New York, Boston again, the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Orioles. That's 8 consecutive series against American League East opponents. And the way that this playoff format sets up, the first 2 place teams in the AL East will be guaranteed a playoff spot and potentially a third because there's still those 2 wild cards. You're only playing the AL and NL East, so those games against the American League East, not only is it great to get a win, but you can put your distance from someone for another team, and I know that's always a big deal. That's always why in any sport divisional games are a little bit bigger of a deal. It's almost worth a game and a half or 2 games, because not only can you get a win, but you can separate yourself from those other teams. And in a shortened season, this is not a 162 marathon. This is a 60-game sprint, and these series really matter. And the Rays have certainly been able to separate themselves from Boston. They split a 2-game series last week, but with a 4-game sweep, they've got Boston in the cellar of the AL East. They're now in 5th place. They had a series win against the Blue Jays, 2-1 to start the season. They'll now be in Buffalo. The Blue Jays not a great record, but they're still hanging on from dear life. And in a weekend series where your pitching doesn't necessarily match up very well with the Blue Jays, that's going to be a crucial one, because if you lose that series, the Blue Jays will have taken that second spot in the division. And once you relinquish it, there's no guarantees that you're going to get it back. But hopefully the Rays, now that they have second, will never look back for the remainder of the season if they can stay hot. And really, you have 6 games in 9 days, or excuse me, it'll be 7 games in 11 days against the Blue Jays. And I don't believe that they play them again. No, they don't. So that'll be the last time you play Buffalo, Toronto, whatever you want to call them. So I think the Blue Jays are the biggest contender. The Orioles, for whatever reason, are still 3 games above 500. You got to think that they're going to bottom out. I mean, 60 games is short, but I still think it's long enough to separate itself from a team like Baltimore that was really supposed to be a really horrendous team, but somehow has rallied around whatever it was. I don't know. And then sandwiched in between those two Blue Jays series, you have a 3-game set against the Yankees. So that brings up so many questions on how you're going to value that, because, of course, managers, whether or not they say, that we take every opponent the same, we don't rest on our laurels. We have to, treat every game we need to win. You're going to have to pick which one of those teams that you would rather beat, simply because of how you're going to line up the bullpen. It's been stressed, and it's going to be stressed again after this week. And it's, do you want to really tax out against the Yankees because you think that you can just get first place? Again, the way the playoffs is going to line up, 1 through 8 in each league. And the higher seed will have a 3-game series all in the home stadium of the higher seed against the lower seed. So if you get a 2 seed, the way it lines up, there's a good chance you're going to be on the road for those 3 games. And even with no fans, obviously the Rays have looked good on the road so far, winning 4 straight against the Red Sox, but they did not look great initially on the road in that 0-5 opening road trip. So I think there is some value to being in your home stadium, sleeping in your own bed instead of these really crappy kind of hotel conditions where, you can't leave your room, you can't do this, you can't do that. You're locked in your own little mini quarantine. So that's obviously no fun. And obviously, I think, I don't know exactly what the record is, but you would think that the home teams have been outperforming the road teams so far. The Rays are evening their road record with another win. They'll be 500 on the road. And again, 6 straight wins for this Rays team. You really like how they're looking right now. I did the monologue on Monday. It was a big deal to take 3 or 4 from the Yankees, even though it was a doubleheader, 7 innings. They split that. It was a little bit wacky on Friday. You shut them out 1-0 on Sunday. Probably that will be, I would say right now, if the Rays end up doing some damage this year, that 4-3 win on Sunday against the Yankees will be known as maybe the turning point. Charlie Morton goes out early, and they said, they rallied around Trevor Richards, and Manny Margot made that outfield mistake that caused 2 runs to score, and they ended up walking it off in the 9th with a Michael Perez single to beat really the best team in baseball right now. I'm not sure how they're going to look against them in the Bronx. Again, the pitching matchups, it'll be Snell v. Tanaka, Glasnow v. Cole, and undecided v. James Paxton. So assume maybe an opener day or some type of bullpen day. I'm not sure they have a guy that can start outright. Again, Yanni Chirinos will be eligible to come off the injury list that very day. That game is at 1 in the afternoon. I think that would be too much to ask of Yanni. If you want to say we only need 3 innings out of you and we're going to piece the rest of the way, that's fine. But to ask Yanni to do his normal start and go, okay, we need 5 innings out of you against the most dangerous lineup in baseball after you just took off 10 days with tricep inflammation, I don't think that's really fair to him or the team. So they're going to have to figure something out. They have guys in the 60-man group that can give you innings against Sleggers yesterday, Bonda today. Guys that can give you 50 or 60 pitches, and depending on how efficient they are, 3 or 4 innings. The problem is they're not outright starters. They can't really dominate to open a game. There's a reason that they were in the minor league camp. The Rays do have guys. We had a caller talk about this last night, saying that we do need to bring up some arms. The problem is just they're not up. Not that I want to say they're not up to snuff, but they're not up to that bar that has been set by how well the bullpen has been performed. So they have options. They're not all great. They're going to have to piece this thing together. Every team's having to go through this with the starters not being fully stretched out. So it's how the Rays deal with it. And at 11:41, final 20 minutes of the program, we're going to take a 2020 sports update, give you the hockey scores. Again, final 20 minutes of the program. If you're listening, we would love to hear from you, and the number to call to get on the show is 877-566-1020. HBC. A couple of games in NHL action that have been completed. It was the Hurricanes 3-2 over the Bruins. That series is now tied 1 game apiece. The Golden Knights 4-3 over the Blackhawks. They've taken a commanding 2-0 series lead against the 8-seed Blackhawks. The Lightning obviously lose 3-1 to Columbus. That series is now tied a game apiece. Game 3 will be on Saturday, and in the second period just underway. It is the Dallas Stars up 2-1 on the Flames. Calgary leads that series right now 1-0.
Hey sports fans, William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBCStream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCStream.com. And thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. Final 15 minutes here of the program here on this William Haynes Show. Number to call to get on the show, 877-566-1020. Number to call during the break was looking for some sports news to talk about. The Trailblazers outlasted the Brooklyn Nets by 1 point. That game, I guess, just finished up. So the way this is going to work, the Phoenix Suns, who have not lost a game since the NHL returned in the Orlando bubble, by the way, the Suns kicked out. Their playoff drought will continue. It will be the Portland Trailblazers And the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA's first ever play-in game. I guess just the winner of that will get the 8th seed and have the right to play the Los Angeles Lakers. Again, I don't think either team is going to come away with anything other than the 8th seed. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I would give the Trailblazers maybe the edge if Damian Lillard just goes on an unbelievably tear and the Lakers falter, whatever. Kuzma just really stinks it up. LeBron has a groin flare up or something insane. Anthony Davis gets lost in Orlando or gets kicked out of the bubble or something weird. I mean, that would be the only way. But it'll be cool to see a play-in game. It'll be at 2:30, I believe, tomorrow. So these teams that have been playing dang near every day in a really tough spot. They did all this training and practicing to get back ready to play as the Stars will go into power play. They're already up 2-1. Playing every day, winning or playing every day with basically your playoff life on the line. Really impressive what those bottom seeds have done. Unfortunate for not as much the Pelicans because they didn't have a whole lot. Zion wasn't ready to come back. The Sacramento Kings, who looked good to start the season, they'll finish 10 games under 500. They were eliminated. The San Antonio Spurs were also eliminated. They miss, I believe, their 22-year playoff streak. Popovich, in an interview today, said he wasn't going to dwell on it. They're just going to move on. It was a weird year. They would not have made the playoffs, I believe, in a regular season if everything had gone as planned. This was due. They should not have made the playoffs last year, really, if you look at it. There was teams that were better than them, but of course, Popovich's worth. You want to talk about wins above replacement. I mean, Pop is probably good for 5, if not more, wins every season with just how good he is drawing up the plays and managing the roster and even managing a locker room. Really, probably the best coach in the NBA right now, if you had to say. But they get kicked out as well. And the Suns, again, I said they had not lost a single game inside the bubble. Devin Booker went on a tear. They have some number 1 picks. DeAndre Ayton comes to mind, and they have some other pieces as well. They did everything that was in their control, and that's all they could have done. And I think it's really unfortunate the way that ended up shaking out, that they were not able to play in that play-in game. They had the same record as the Grizzlies, so I don't know exactly what went into that, but it'll be the Blazers and Grizzlies for the right to play the 8th seed, and all those matchups are determined. I wanted to give the phone line one more time. I'm not sure how many people we have listening to the show. No callers yet tonight. We had a couple in the last couple of days, and I really appreciate everyone that called in. It was nice to hear from everybody. The number to call is 877-566-1020. I know it doesn't quite roll off the tongue as the old number, but this new number is toll-free internationally, whether you live in Canada, Australia, Europe, wherever you are, and you want to talk Rays or any type of sports, you're listening, we would love nothing more than to hear from you. Again, 877-566-1020. We're going to take a little bit, not a break on the show, but just a break in general after tonight's program wraps. We will not be on the air until next Tuesday, moving the WHBC studios a few hours north from Clearwater up to Tallahassee, where I will begin my collegiate career at FSU. So very exciting stuff there, and just trying to get everything moved in and moved out of here, really. I'm not going to be able to be on the air. I might miss a couple of Rays games in the process, but I will be, of course, caught up on everything that has gone down. And be with you again on Tuesday night, hopefully talking a Rays win over the Yankees and hopefully a sweep over the Blue Jays in Buffalo. I think that's going to be a really cool watch. I caught a little bit of the action in one of the as I believe the Stars cashed in on the power play. They're not now up 3-1. Watching one of the Blue Jays games, I believe it was against the Marlins in Buffalo. It's a cool facility. They changed everything up, even like the colors of the seats and stuff, I think, or the outfield wall and stuff like that. Changed it to that Blue Jay blue. Not to go off on any type of Buffalo side tangent. That probably will be, I'll do a little bit of a monologue production there. As the Rays go to Buffalo for the first time in team history. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the first Major League Baseball game that was played in over 100 years in Buffalo. So really cool stuff all around. Hopefully the Rays don't get tripped up too much again. The way it'll line up Let me just refresh this to make sure Kevin Cash hasn't made any announcements from the plane, and he has not. Tomorrow at 6:37. It's weird that they're still doing the 7-minute thing, even though it's not in Canada. It'll be Undecided versus Tanner Rourke. Yarbrough v. Chase Anderson on Saturday, also at 6:30. And on Sunday at 3:07, another Undecided versus Shoemaker. So whatever Cash decides to do, by the way, final 10 minutes of the program, 877-566-1020, number to call. Whether he goes with Trevor Richards, who with 4 innings, you would think he could probably give you 5 if he gets into a groove. That would be dangerous the way this Blue Jays lineup has played out. I believe if they're still healthy, I'm not sure if Ken Giles has come back or not, the closer that was hurt on that Sunday game against the Rays all those weeks ago. But a Blue Jays lineup and a Blue Jays team that's desperate really to make a push here in a 60-game season. The window has been open for them. Also, the extra playoff spots. They're hungry, but so are the Rays. But I think a really crucial series again. 7 games in. Is it right? 7 games in. It looks like. I don't know why I can't do math. Yeah, 7 games in 10 days against the Blue Jays with a 3-game set at New York mixed in between, as Dave Wills would say. I was promised there would be no math. I think that's one of the most great lines ever for someone in broadcasting sports. Really tremendous. Also, another thing that I'd planned to do, it was the night that it must have been the Monday night win in Boston when they were, the 8-7 win on Monday night. If you're not familiar, the Rays have a promo where every night the Rays score 6 or more runs. I feel like I'm doing the ad read myself. Get 50% off your online pizza order at Papa John's. I feel like I'm doing an ad read, but that's the promo, and they read that on the radio broadcast every time as soon as they score the 6th run. And the Rays, whether it was 8 runs or whenever they got past 6, Dave Wills did, a fake pretend, the blowing off the dust off the ad read and coughing out at the dust because that had been so long since they had scored. I mean, I'm counting here. Look back, 1, 2. There was a game on Saturday in the doubleheader. I'm not sure if that counts. If you don't count that, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, about pretty much an entire week since the last time they could have done that. So the Rays offense got on track over there in Boston, and really good things to see. I guess what we can do, since we don't know what's going to go down exactly on Friday, I can only preview Friday's game totally. It'll be Tanner Rourke on the mound for the Blue Jays. He's a right-handed starter, so obviously the heavy lefty lineup. Rourke right now is 1-1 with a 5.63 ERA. We look at his starts. It looks like he's only had 2 starts. He against the Washington Nationals, he went 5 innings, an earned run on a hit, no walks, 5 strikeouts, 73 pitches. And on Friday against the Blue Jays, against the Red Sox, he goes 3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs on 3 hits, gives up 2 home runs, 5 walks, 1 strikeout, 68 pitches in a losing decision. So that his last start was not very good at all, and he had a bit of a layoff in between those 2 starts. So you think maybe a guy that the Rays can get to? I would expect Austin Meadows to lead off, probably play left field, Kiermaier in center. If they want to get crazy with the lefties, they could have Tsutsugo in left, Kiermaier in center, Meadows in right, put Wendell at third, Adames at short, Lau at second, Ji-Man Choi at first, and have Michael Perez catch. So that way you would only have, if I'm not mistaken, just one righty in the lineup. Usually they stagger it a 7-2 split, not an 8-1 split. But if you wanted to go extreme, you have that option. I don't think they've done that before. Probably have Yoshi play third base and have Renfroe in right, but they could stagger it either of those ways against a guy in Tanner Rourke. And also, it gives you a bit of advantage when your offense is so hot, and if you know the pitcher in Tanner Rourke is not great, you come into the game with some confidence knowing that you're going to score off of him and score off of him early. I think it lines up well. The only hitch, of course, would be there's not a set starter. We don't know who is going to line up for the Rays. Again, either an outright start. It was 4 innings from Trevor Richards on Sunday, so I don't believe he's on 5 days rest. The way I counted it was 4, but I'm not sure if I'm counting it wrong, if the day of the start counts as a day of rest or not. But I don't believe it is, and that would make it 4 days rest. So obviously he's not a traditional starter anyway, so 3 or 4 innings is certainly reasonable if they want to go that route. And if it's either have him outright or behind a guy like Ryan Thompson, they can do that. So if they go that route, we're looking at getting through 5, maybe 6 innings. And the bullpen, really everyone you think is in play right now. Alvarado, he had a back-to-back early in the week, but he has not appeared in the game in quite some time. Castillo, Nick Anderson, again, I wouldn't expect to be playing tomorrow. He was pitching on a back-to-back, if I'm not mistaken. So they want to probably give him a day off just to keep him fresh. Chaz Rowe hasn't pitched in a while. I think they'll get him up. I was surprised he didn't appear tonight just to kind of keep him fresh. It's been a while since he's pitched. Jalen Beeks, who went tonight, he will not be available. Aaron Loop as well in the mix of guys that could go. So hopefully, if you can get through 5 or 6, you would only need theoretically 3 guys out of those. So maybe let's line it up. You go Richards for, you go Thompson for 2, like you did last time. 4 from Richards gets you through 6. Maybe have Loop take the 7th, Castillo take the 8th, and Alvarado the 9th. And then the next day on Saturday, I'm all over the place. Ryan Yarbrough, who's probably going to give you 5 or 6. He's the most fully stretched out starter, at least as far as not even the pitch count, but just a guy that's proven he can get length this year, can get you through 6. And then you're looking at the same thing, how you want to piece it together with maybe Castillo again. This bullpen, let's take a look. It is a little bit limited. John Curtis was a guy who could probably go on Sunday. On 2 days ago, he went 2 2/3, so he's probably going to need a little bit of time off. I'm looking down the line. They are a little bit limited, of course, in options right now. Really, your bullpen right now is made up of Ryan Thompson, Chaz Rowe, Aaron Loop, Peter Fairbanks, who is a guy who got, I believe, a save, or I want to say, or a clean 9th inning last night. I believe it would have been a save. Jalen Beeks, who's kind of a bulk guy, Nick Anderson, Alvarado, Richards, another bulk guy, and then 2 more bulk guys, really, Bonda and Curtis. So that they really have a lot of bulk guys right now, but I think Bonda will probably end up getting sent down at some point and maybe make way for another guy. Aaron Sleggers, I think, is on the taxi squad right now. So they've got options, like I said. Hopefully Yarbrough will be a kind of a key to that series as we look at. He'll be going up against Chase Anderson. Anderson, another right-handed starter. No decisions for him yet in a 3 ERA. It looks like he just has 1 start to his name this season. Yeah, it was on Saturday. So 5 days ago, he goes 3 innings pitched, gives up an earned run on a hit, 2 walks, a strikeout. Throws 45 pitches, and again, no decision for him in a game that the Blue Jays went on to win against the Red Sox. So it looks like he's not stretched out. I don't know if he was just hurt or not ready to go when the season got started up a few weeks ago. So yeah, you think the way that is, he might give the Blue Jays 4 or maybe 3 again, as he only threw 45 pitches. So he may only be ready to go 50, 55, 60. So that's not very deep into a ball game at all. And a Blue Jays bullpen that the Rays manhandled last time around, that is certainly a good sight. And then again, with the right-handed starter, you go in heavy lefty lineup again. So I don't need to go through it, but yeah, Tsutsugo would go as far as the platoons go. Choi would play, probably Perez and Kiermaier. And then all of your other regulars. And then on Sunday, it is a no announcement for the Rays against Matt Shoemaker of the Blue Jays. Shoemaker is 0-1 this year with a 4.86 ERA. We look at his starts. He looks like he's had 3. He was ready to go at season's go. his last start against the Rays, which was on the 25th of August, I believe that was the second day of the season. He went 6 innings pitched right out of the gate, 81 pitches, an earned run on 3 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. So, and he didn't throw many other pitches in his other starts, 88 and 89 respectively. His last start, just for, what did they say, consistency's sake, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs on 3 hits, 2 home runs. Wow. No walks, 6 strikeouts, 89 pitches. He gave up 2 earned runs in his last start and 3 home runs to the Braves to start before. The Rays didn't hit any home runs off of him, but 5 home runs in his last 2 starts. But he's fully stretched out. We'll probably give them 6. That's what the stats probably would indicate. And another righty. So they're going to be seeing all righty starters, which is going to be interesting because they're not going to have to break out their lefty lineup until they get to the Yankees. And Tanaka is a right. I don't know why I thought he was lefty. So they're going to go on a stretch where they see 5 straight righties. And then you see Paxton next Thursday. And then, wow, they're going to see Shoemaker again. Yeah. So that's we're going to see a lot. We're going to see a lot of lefty bats. And hopefully that lines up. I like the way that the right heavy lineup has been going with guys like Mike Brasso and Manny Margot has been on a tear. So you like the right-handed bats as well. Jose Martinez has been struggling a little bit in the last handful of days. Kind of surprised he hasn't joined the party as much as he has. Also, another note that I wanted to mention, Mookie Betts versus the Padres tonight ties an MLB record with 6 career 3-homer game, trying to become the 19th player in MLB history with a 4-home-run game. They're, I believe, 10 runs up or so over the Padres, so kind of a Rays Red Sox situation going on over there in Chavez Ravine. We're going to put a wrap on the show. We want to thank everyone who tuned into the program. No calls tonight, but we will be back next Tuesday after a little bit of a move and a little bit of a break. Coming right back at you, the same as always. We'll have the production value ramped back up. Just wanted to get on the air tonight. We're supposed to be on at 9, but the way it worked out, it was on at 11. So I understand all of that. But thank you for everyone who checked out the program. Hopefully the Rays will have a successful weekend against the Blue Jays. Continue their winning ways. Again, 4-game sweep over the Red Sox. Would love to see them keep it up. We'll be with you on Tuesday. And as always, we'll see you then.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66 FM.
HBC.